You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the corruption detector, and this is your Red Pill news for Sunday, March 24th. Well, today is, today would have been my father's 70th birthday if he had not have passed away in 2009. I know he's not here with me physically, but I do know that he's looking down on me, and it is with great pleasure that I announce the full and total exoneration of our president. The Mueller report was delivered to Attorney General Barr this weekend at 3:42 p.m. Eastern Time today. Attorney General Barr delivered his letter of summation to the Congress. Mueller did not go as far as saying that his report exonerates Trump, although given the fact that there's no evidence of collusion or obstruction either way, that I believe that the turn of the phrase in the letter was, it does not meet the threshold for prosecution. So because the president did what was under his powers granted by the Constitution and Congress to do, they tried to stick him with obstruction. But unfortunately for them, there was no evidence of that. The president did what he was legally allowed to do. So now that this report has come out, they will be going through it with a fine-tooth comb to try and determine if there's sources and methods within the report that they can't release to the public. In the meantime, we've got the letter, we've got the statement of the president, and we're going to listen to that right now. Illegal takedown. The president said it so well. An illegal takedown. Now, this has been going on for a long time, longer than just the 2 years that we had the Mueller investigation going on. Let's take a look at this. Oh, and I forgot to mention that first tweet was from my friend Methods. Here we have another where he retweets Paul Sperry. Paul Sperry's a good person to follow. Representative Devin Nunes says House Intel has evidence Clinton operatives and high-level FBI and DOJ officials started the Trump-Russia investigation in late 2015, early 2016, and that House GOP will be making criminal referrals to AG Barr for officials who perpetrated this hoax for 3+ years. As the president just said, there were things done on the other side. They asked for it, they got it. President Trump warned them that if they didn't cut this out, then we were going to start looking at them. Now, I got a text message from the president earlier today. It's just like a form message. I think everybody gets it if they sign up on his website. And he says right in the text message, now we fight back. Now that the president has been exonerated, we can fully go after the people who have been trying to destroy his good name and destroy this country for the last several years. For 3 or more years. We're looking at big things ahead, people. Big things. The DS thought that this report was coming last week. That's why they orchestrated a horrible, horrible event. Regardless of exactly what happened, it was traumatizing for the global psyche. That's the kind of thing that they like. That's what they like to see. Now here also from Methods is the actual letter itself. It's 4 pages long. We're not going to go through it. But it says exactly what we've already spoken about here today. There was no evidence of collusion. There was no evidence of obstruction. It did not meet the threshold of prosecution. But you know who does meet the threshold of prosecution? The people that Representative Nunes is talking about sending criminal referrals to. We're going to see how that goes, and I cannot wait. Speaking of meeting the threshold of prosecution, James Comey fired off a cryptic tweet after Barr released the summary report confirming Trump's campaign did not conspire with Russia. There's Jim Comey in the middle of the woods, thinking about life and the decisions he's made. FBI fired FBI Director James Comey fired off a cryptic tweet Sunday evening after Bill Barr confirmed the Mueller report found zero evidence that Trump's camp conspired with Russia during the 2016 election. So many questions, Comey said in a tweet with a photo of himself in the woods. So many questions. My head is spinning. So many questions. Comey set the ball in motion after he was fired as FBI director on May 9th, 2017. Comey gave portions of his Trump memos to a friend to leak to the New York Times to prompt a special counsel investigation into President Trump. Mueller's team interviewed 500 witnesses and issued 2,800 subpoenas in an investigation that spanned over 675 days with a total of 19 high-powered lawyers. Comey even said in his December testimony to the House Oversight Committee that by the time he was fired in May of 2017, 1 week before Mueller was appointed as a special counsel, there was still no evidence that Trump had conspired with Russia. The deep state attempted to remove President Trump, and they failed. Make no mistake, the Democrats are not finished harassing Trump. House Judiciary Chairman Nadler made it clear that he is not done investigating Trump and will be calling AG Barr to testify to his committee. But here's the thing, guys. All this money, all these people, all these man-hours, and they couldn't find a single thing. President Trump is the only honest man in Washington. Maybe there's some other people that are honest, but as far as I'm concerned, everyone else involved in this stuff, they have dirt on their hands. I was talking about it the other night. We have white hats, we have black hats, we have gray hats. The gray hats are people who want to do the right thing, but they've been forced to do bad things. And President Trump is the only one who has been honest and decent and good all these years. They would have found something if they could, but they couldn't. So they didn't. Now, the last couple of nights we've been talking about the media's reaction, the reaction of people like Brian Krasenstein, who swore that he was going to donate $10,000 and delete his Twitter account. He hasn't done either. He deleted his AOL account. Alan Dershowitz goes scorched earth on CNN. A very, very bad day for CNN. I tell you, they ought to be hanging their head in shame, yes? But you know they're not going to because they are far too proud. Alan Dershowitz goes scorch earth on CNN after the Mueller report. Should hang their heads in shame. Noted law professor and author Alan Dershowitz joined Fox News to discuss the much-anticipated report. Dershowitz told the audience it was a great day for President Trump and a very, very bad day for CNN. Let's go ahead and take a listen to what Alan Dershowitz had to say.
Oh, sure, but I think the reason he said that was to explain why he might not produce everything in the report, because they might be relevant to ongoing investigations. He had to say that, and we all know that there are investigations by the Southern District. But it's important that we did learn there are no sealed indictments, that there's no recommendation in the report for any further indictments, and so this is not what many people feared, just shifting it over to the Southern District and saying, we're not going to indict this guy, but maybe you should. That was done with the Attorney General as far as the obstruction of justice, but he didn't do it with the Southern District. So, look, this is a good day for the president. It's a very, very bad day for CNN. I have to tell you, there should be hanging their head in shame when you think about how many people went out on a limb and predicted there would be indictments for obstruction, there would be indictments for collusion, there would be indictments for this and for that. They made it seem like it was an open and shut case, and they misinformed the American public. And they have to have some public accountability when you say things that turn out not to be true. Look, I've been vindicated. I've been saying this from day one and been criticized and condemned for simply doing a legal analysis that I think any reasonable, objective, nonpartisan lawyer would have done, would have come to the same conclusion I came to, and essentially the conclusion that was come to today by the Attorney General.
Alan Dershowitz is right. From day one, he has been saying that this was a bunch of BS. But we had all those pundits for so many years, so many days, saying the exact same thing, parroting their 4 a.m. talking points. All right, here we have a video from my friend The Dirty Truth on Twitter, and it includes a quote from Joe DiGenova. The real big story here is there was absolutely no evidence of Russia collusion. That means the counterintelligence FISA warrant was illegally obtained. I expect the Attorney General to impanel a grand jury. Let's take a listen to what Joe had to say, because
Joe, what about this talk about obstruction of justice and questions about whether the Attorney General can make that call, and all that you've heard from Democrats today on that front?
Well, there's no doubt that the Attorney General can make that call, and it's the correct call under the facts and circumstances. But the really big story here is the conclusion by Bob Mueller that not that he couldn't prove collusion beyond a reasonable doubt, but that there was absolutely no evidence of collusion. The profound importance of that is as follows. That means that the Brennan and Clapper cabal was based on false information, which they probably created. It also means that the FISA warrants were in all likelihood illegally obtained. It means that everything that was at the basis of the counterintelligence and then the criminal investigation has no legal or factually foundation. I expect the Attorney General to impanel a federal grand jury to investigate the FISA abuse, the unmasking, and the fake counterintelligence predicate. And I think that Mr. Brennan and Mr. Clapper and Mr. Comey better get themselves some lawyers.
Well spoken, Joe. Hold on to your skirts, girls, because there's a storm coming. Do the introduction. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We have a very special guest, Resignation Anon. Resignation Anon is someone who has put together an exhaustive list of notable resignations, and he's also the creator of that amazing search tool that we showed on the show a couple weeks ago. So I'd just like to say thank you so much for joining us, Resignation Anon, and I appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Yeah, thank you for the invite.
Of course, of course. Well, I think the probably the first thing we should talk about is who you are. I'd like for the audience to get to know you. So tell us where you're from and what you do.
Yeah, I'm located in Germany, and I'm in the middle of the 30s, and I'm working as a software developer, and that's why you already know both of my projects, which are simply a bet.
Excellent. And can you tell us what type of software you develop, or would that get us too close to doxing you?
No, it's not a problem to talk about this. So most websites are done with the programming language PHP, and that's what I am using.
Excellent. Okay, I'm familiar with that. Now, how or when did you start looking into the whole QAnon phenomenon?
I'm looking for some years on different platforms, and on a German platform, only a few hours after Q made his first post where he introduced himself, someone posted a screenshot from 4chan on this German image board. And I've seen this and I thought, hey, this sounds really, really interesting. Maybe it's worth to dig deeper into it. And I've seen following Q posts, and so I'm still on the Q train since day 1 or 2.
Excellent. So the idea of the things that Q talks about, were these subjects that were of interest to you before that? Would you consider yourself to have been awake before you started seeing Q post, or was this like a moment for you in your life?
Aware of a lot of things years before Q started posting. So a lot of Q posts or a lot of Q related topics are not a surprise for me. The only surprise is that some things are going much, much deeper than I would ever have expected.
Yes, yeah, I'd have to say you're right. There are a lot of people were very surprised to learn the depth of how horrible this whole thing is. Now, when did you start, curating the resignation list and putting that together for people?
I started a few days after Q made the post with the number 413, where he simply said, track resignations. And at this point, there was already a resignation thread on 4chan, and some Anons already started to collect some notable resignations from times around this time point. And it was only collected in a few threads, and it included only company names, persons' names, position, and a date, but more information was not available. Right. And over the few days, the list was growing, And it was absolutely hard to maintain this list. And of course, it was hard to see it. And without having a source for this, it wouldn't be that helpful at all. So some of the resignations were reported by me. I think you can show a screenshot.
Yes.
And I started to ask some anons if they want to improve the list. I got only one response, which said, if you want to do it, have fun. So a few days after Q made this post, I think it was on December the 26th, I started the Google Doc, and I started maintaining the whole.
How many notable resignations do we have right now on this list? I'm looking at it right now, and I haven't reached the bottom yet. I know that it's definitely in the hundreds.
Oh, we are already in the thousands. So
Oh, wow.
We have actually more than 7,400 notable resignations. But one important thing is definitely to say about this. The whole list contains all resignations, firings, retirements, and also some notable death cases. But it contains only things I could found or I've got reported. Not everyone on the list is a bad person. So just to make this clear, because so in the last few months, we had a lot of claims that these people on the list are all bad or everyone will be indicted, but this is definitely not the case. The list is just a resource for you, so you can do some research and to find more connections. So that's basically the whole thing to tell about the list.
All right. And I see that just by default, the list is arranged by date, but then I see within it, it looks like you have like subcategories for like the types of sectors that these people are coming from. Is it possible for people to go through the list and export the information like by company or by type of agency they work at?
So the data in the Google spreadsheet is free and you can download it. Maybe you want to download this as an Excel file, and then you can sort it as you want. But you can also sort directly in the Google spreadsheet on your own.
Excellent. And this is at resignation.info. Well, that's actually the website, but they can find the list there. Of course, the list itself, the Google spreadsheet, will be in the show notes. So I see you have an explanation about the list that includes some links for people to find you as well. And I was showing your Twitter and your Gab profiles earlier. We'll get the actual URLs for those at the end of the show. Then you've got confirmed resignations, retirements, and deaths. You've also got unclear confirmed. So tell me, what is the unclear section?
The unclear section is simply a sheet which was growing over the last few months. I've got some reports about resignations, but I was not able to find confirmation for it. And it's just for having it as a reminder for me. So I will look regularly into this data to find more. And I guess in a few weeks, this sheet will not exist anymore, hopefully.
Okay. Do you mean because we're going to reach the end of all of this stuff, or because you're going to transition to something else?
No, I want to transition it to another position, and I also want to make more improvements for the resignation website to make the work for me easier, and to give users more ways maybe to report resignations, or even to fix some data which may be wrong.
Oh, that's a great idea. All right, so I'm on resignation.info right now. You've got, God, this is great. The way you've got it set up, it makes it very simple for people to look at it. And I see that here you can clearly see it's 7,419 resignations, 7,231 individuals, 5,500 organizations in 151 different countries. And then you've got a link on your website, which specifically goes to the resignation list. Of course, you've got a link to your show. You've got a list of indictments. That's great. You've also got a way for people to report resignations here on the website in case people come across things themselves. And let's see, there's also a link that we had here from 4chan, it looks like, or these, yes, this was the original list of resignations that we were talking about earlier that came from 4chan. Now that we know where people can find the list, that Google Doc, and we see everything that's in there, it's just an incredible amount of information. So my hat off to you in the way that you put this together for people to go ahead and check it out. Now, I think that's a good point that you made there about the fact that not everyone is a bad actor, not everyone is going to be indicted. That's something we were just talking about on my show last night. There's many of these people, I would imagine, were probably, forced into doing things so that they, wouldn't have to worry about the safety of their family or themselves. You've got white hats, you've got black hats, and you've got gray hats. I think a vast majority of these people are going to be gray hats, because you think about the number of people that are really at the top of this. Those are the black hats to me. Those are the real evil people. And it's a very, very small number. Now, there was a press release here that you had sent over from Challenger Gray. What is that? This is, can you tell me about this?
Yes, Challenger Gray is an organization which started to count CEO resignations in the year 2002. And this is actually the only source I could find to disprove a claim that the number of resignations is the highest we have ever seen. But this claim is definitely not true. So Challenger Gray figured out that in 2018, the number of CEO resignations was the highest since the recession in 2008. Unfortunately, this organization is not publishing raw data. So I can't tell you what they are counting exactly, and I can't even tell you which CEOs were counted.
Okay.
I made a check between their numbers and my numbers for the year 2018, and these counts are matching by around 95%. But without having real data, I can't tell you if this is really a good number which they are coming up with.
Right. So you're actually publishing the raw data, and they're just publishing a distillation, just kind of a breakdown, but without giving the information behind it. So tell us. I've got resignation.info pulled up here again. And what do you want people to know about the website?
There's basically not that much to say about. So, this Google spreadsheet, and the data on the Google spreadsheet is hard to see. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to make some connections between these more than 7,400 resignations. So already some months ago, I decided to make it more visible, and I created a resignation website. And it has a lot of dashboards, a lot of statistics. You have even a search for all the data, and you can really input everything. So you can insert a country, you could insert a branch, a position, a name. So everything which includes the string will be shown as a result.
All right. And tell us about the show that you do, the Resignation Show.
Yeah, I'm doing every second Sunday a so-called Resignation Show. Where I'm talking about the most notable resignations of the last 2 weeks. And unfortunately, I don't have an own YouTube channel, but some months ago, I partnered up with the YouTube channel In Real Life News. And they have a lot of other good videos with Q-related topics. And they have also a complete media and a researching team. And in some cases, we are digging a little bit deeper while we are talking about some specific cases. And with the whole research team, we can show you much more information. And the next show will be on March the 31st at 1 p.m. EST.
Perfect. All right. So now you had also said something about the connections about your resignation list to other lists. Do you have that cataloged here on your website, or is there a place that people can go to check on these human trafficking arrests and indictments?
Actually, both are listed as a separate column in the Google spreadsheet, and unfortunately, only the indictments are visible on the Resignation website. You can see this on resignation.info/indictments. And for human trafficking arrests, I need to add this to the website. But actually, for indictments, we have 19 people which we are able to prove that they really got indicted. And you may know the human trafficking arrests list and the indictments list are some other spreadsheets maintained by two other anons. And we are working together to make these connections visible.
Excellent. And you even got links to the indictments themselves, which are inside that original Google spreadsheet. It's very exhaustive. You've got lots of documents, the actual dockets. You've got court listener pages where you can go and look at them in a nice, easy-to-read format. And then I can see that you do have the pedo crimes. You've got the human trafficking, associated resignations. This is great. This is a lot of good information. All right, so let's talk about how people can find you too. I know I had said that I showed your Twitter and your Gab profiles earlier, but your Resignation Anon on both Twitter and Gab, are these the only social media profiles that you maintain?
Yes. So you can also find me on some Discord channels, and you will find me with the nickname Resignation Anon. And the best would be if you report resignations directly on the Resignation website. So the URL is resignation.info/report. And you can simply post a URL to a news article. And after this, I got a notification, and I will look into it and will add it to the list.
Perfect. So anybody, if you see a resignation and you want to report it to Resignation Anon, you can go and do it right there. So let's take a look at some of the posts having to do with resignations. Now, you had mentioned previously post number 413, that was what started it all off. But now post 693, CEO resignations in Big Pharma chain of command. Make sure the list of resignations remains updated. Important. When does Big Pharma make money? Curing or containing? Containing cancer, AIDS, etc. Mind will be blown by the chain of command. Do you are you putting together a list, or can you direct me to pull up the list of Big Pharma resignations?
Unfortunately not, but maybe you can search on the Resignation website simply for pharma. And I try to label every pharma company with the branch pharma, so it's easier.
Now, where do I go? Do I go to Resignation List? I'm just looking for the search function right now. Dashboard, maybe?
Resignation List would be correct. Then you need to wait a little bit because it's with the amount of data, the loading time is a little bit longer. I will try to fix it soon. But if it's loaded completely, then on the right side you have a search.
All right. Okay, so I've got the resignation dashboard pulled up. It was in the middle of going to it. So let's talk about the dashboard since I've got that pulled up. So we've got like bar charts basically of resignation trends per month. It shows clearly how many resignations you've got in each month. Then you've got specific resignations broken down by week. You've also got top reasons for resignations, resignation by branches. There we go. Let's take a look at resignations by branch, and then we can look for pharma in here. This is a really nice way to see it. All right, so I've got Resignation by Pharma pulled up right now. And it's not too many people, but I would imagine that the individuals who've resigned in these organizations probably were some pretty high-level people. Oh, look, you got a pie chart even.
Yeah, as I said, you find dashboards and statistics for nearly everything. I don't have even more ideas what I could add additional.
No, you've done a great job. That's a lot of stuff. All right, so back to the posts. We've got many posts that mention resignation. I wanted to ask you about the Patriots Fight Board. We've got all these placeholders that are coming up, specifically with information about everything that we're waiting to happen. I was looking. I was looking to see if Q had put a resignation placeholder.
Unfortunately, not.
All he has to do is link to your website.
I think regarding Q posts, which include the word resignation, I think the Q post with the number 693 is really the most important one, or the most notable one from my perspective, because there's a specific reason why he mentioned resignations in this post. At this time, I was maintaining the resignation list for around 6 weeks. At the beginning, we had some very interesting cases, but at this point, for about 3 or 4 weeks, it was not that interesting. So I was thinking, hey, damn, I'm not 100% sure if Q is really real, because the most interesting stuff hasn't come up yet at this time. So I put a big note in the top of the resignation spreadsheet in big red letters, and it simply said something like, I don't know what to do with this list. If you want to take over, have fun. And a few hours later, Q made this post. And yeah, he also said in this post, important. And today I can tell you he was absolutely right again. The data we have is really, really important for doing research and to figure out what connections really exist.
That's incredible. You essentially had a direct response telling you to keep it up. That's pretty awesome.
Yes, and it showed me another interesting thing. So I think it's already known that the chants are monitored, but it also shows me that important resources are also monitored, maybe to make sure that they stay alive.
Most definitely. All right, so tell us about your other project, the HNQ Research Board search that we had shown on the show a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, simply it's a search engine for data which is related to different Q topics. And it was created, I think, already more than half of a year ago, simply for my own reasons, because I detected that on 8chan, a lot of people were posting resignations. And of course, I wanted to check them and add them on the list. And at this time, I have checked every single thread on 8chan manually. And wow. After some weeks, the amount of threads was increasing massively. So I had to spend 1 or 2 hours every day just for looking for a few resignations. And I thought, oh, damn, you can't spend that much time or waste that much time. So this could be done on a more efficient way. And as I said in the beginning, I'm a software developer. So I decided to write a small crawler which runs through all existing threads and which should index all posts in these threads. So after some hours, I was able to finish this, and I already had, I think, some or more than 100,000 posts. And I put all of these posts into a database. I made it searchable, and with this, I could speed up my work massively. So I just had to spend maybe 5 minutes into researching things. And after a few days, I figured out that the search result is not that bad. So I decided to make the whole search public. And since this, every thread is imported. And it was growing for some months. People on HN were using it regularly. And 6 weeks ago, I had a little bit more time, and I decided to improve the whole project. So the first thing I did was registering a new domain name, so curator.ch. Now the data is not hosted in Switzerland, it's just a Switzerland domain name. Also, I added a completely new layout. I added a lot of more content over the last few weeks. So you can not only search through the HNQ research posts, but you can also search through things like resignations, Q posts, Trump tweets, human trafficking arrests, some leaks or some emails which got leaked by WikiLeaks. So you can search through Clinton, Podesta, and DNC emails. I could also remember that a while ago we had some other leaks like Panama Papers and Paradise Papers. Mm-hmm. You can also search through this data. You can search through White House visitors. Additionally, the old CBTS and the Storm boards before Q went into the Q research board. And in the last few days, I added a lot of other threads for some topics or even for different countries and languages. So my initial idea was to have different search engines for different languages, but I think when I decided to have only one, it makes a lot of things easier, not only for me, but only for researching things, because in some cases you can also find posts in different other languages in the Q research board. So to have everything searchable in every language you want to have, I decided to have it only in one single search. And actually, we have more than 10.2 million data sets from 28 different sources. And as I said, you can search, you can do one search and you can search through all of these sources. And actually, I have no idea what I could add additionally. So if you have ideas which data sources should be searchable too, then please send me a message. So on Twitter, Gab, Discord, or on the Q Research website, you can also find my email address. Send me a link, and I will look into it. And this would be best. And what you can also see on the resignation on the Q Research site, we have 7 different lists which got started a while ago, but unfortunately they are abandoned. They include some very interesting data. But most of these lists were not maintained for over a year. So if you want to take over one of these lists, please also contact me. I think it will not take that much time every day to do a research, but I think the content is that important. If one of these lists is maintained regularly, then I will add this data also to the search.
Excellent. So everybody, if you would like to help out with this effort, again, you're going to be able to find him at Resignation Anon on Twitter, Resignation Anon on Gab, of course, the Q Research search tool, and then also the resignation.info website. Let's talk about some of the notable notable resignation cases. I think that one of the biggest ones that really caught the public's attention was the Harvey Weinstein case. And then, of course, not that long after, we had Tony Podesta. What can you tell us about information you found related to these two cases?
yeah, we have both, so Podesta and Weinstein, on the resignation list. And yeah, it's already a while ago, and I had to think about some of these things to remember again. So the whole movement figured out a lot of interesting stuff. So maybe you remember the story with the red shoes, the Podesta art, and of course the beginning of the sexual misconduct scandal in Hollywood.
Yes.
And based on this, you can find also a lot of more connections to different other people. So I think, what was her name?
Madeleine McCann.
Yes, this is also a very notable case, but it has nothing to do with Q topics. But it's definitely connected to Podesta.
Yes. For people who don't know, there was a composite sketch. Let's see. I'm going to search for that real quick so we can show it. Madeleine McCann, composite suspect. All right. So these two gentlemen on the screen right now were composite sketches made by people who said that they potentially saw Madeleine McCann being carried away by two guys. Now, if you take a look at the faces, they look remarkably like John and Tony Podesta. And John and Tony Podesta just happened to be really good friends with, I believe it was the nephew of Sigmund Freud, who is a convicted offender of child crimes. He lived very, very close to the McCanns where they were staying in Portugal. And he had also incidentally befriended them in the days after Madeleine McCann was snatched up. So there's a theory that the Podestas, I believe the Podestas actually were in the country at the time that this took place. And they were quite literally friends with the guy that very well could have had something to do with it. So perhaps Madeleine McCann was snatched up by these guys, taken to Freud's villa very close by. One of the striking things about that composite sketch, R.A., is that the larger guy, he has a mole on the side of his forehead, and Tony Podesta has a very noticeable mole in that exact same spot.
Maybe you can remember the former singer of, what was it, Linkin Park? Or...
Yes, Linkin Park, Chester Bennington.
Right. He is, if I remember correct, also on the resignation list, but as a death case.
Yes. And for everyone who doesn't know, Chester Bennington has a striking resemblance to John Podesta. We're going to pull that up. As you can see on the screen right here, Chester Bennington could very easily be John Podesta's son. And considering the stories that Chester told, the dark things that happened to him as a child, it could totally be that he is the illegitimate son of John Podesta. Here is a picture of them side by side when you split their faces. It's very, very eerie about how close they look to each other. Lots of different examples of Chester Bennington and John Podesta side by side on the internet. Pretty crazy stuff. Well, what can you tell us about the Compass Group?
Yeah, maybe you remember at the beginning of 2018 or at the end of 2017, there were two different helicopter crashes happening in only 24 hours. And both cases are listed on the resignation list. And one of these guys was the CEO of a Compass Group. Also, his family was on board of the helicopter, all died. If you start digging about the Compass Group, then you will find an interesting connection, because they are involved into the building of the Clinton Presidential Library. So we know Podesta and Weinstein had a connection to Clintons, and also the CEO of the Compass Group has a connection to Clintons.
Yes, very, very strange how they just happened to pass away in this helicopter accident. Now, how about the connections here now to the to Broward County? All the weird stuff going on in Broward County. We recently had Scott Israel resign. Did you add Scott Israel's name to the list of resignations?
Oh yeah, definitely. I was happy that I could add him. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff happening in Broward County. So on the resignation show, I was talking about different resignations. So if you start from the beginning, in I think it was February of last year, there was the Florida shooting. And one of the first persons from Broward County, which is on the list, was Scott Peterson. He was the armed police officer on duty at the Florida school shooting. And since this, we have a lot of more interesting resignations. So 7 different judges from Broward County resigned.
Ooh.
Interestingly, 2 of them are married to each other. Then we have also Brenda Snipes on the list. She was the election chief of Broward County. Then we had, of course, Scott Israel and 5 more high-ranking people from the Broward County Sheriff's Office also resigned. Interestingly, only a few days after Scott Israel. I'm not sure if he resigned or if he was removed. They all resigned on the same day in protest of Israel's removing. And I found different articles. Some claimed he resigned on his own. Other claimed that Ron DeSantis removed him. And we can talk about Ron DeSantis in a few moments too. But regarding the Florida school shooting, I think a very notable connection is David Hogg. He or his father is working for the FBI, if I remember correct, and his mother is working for NBC. And interestingly, he was involved into minimum 2 different school shootings, and there are a lot of strange things. Anon's figured additionally out about this guy.
So you're saying that David Hogg's father, as an FBI agent, was involved in 2 other incidents like Parkland? Or David Hogg himself?
Not the father, David Hogg himself.
What? I didn't know that. What can you tell me about that?
Oh, I need to research this again, but maybe you can use simply the search. Type in David Hogg, and I'm sure you will find tons of different. I think there's one school shooting was in the eastern, in one of the eastern countries, and the second one was in one of the western countries. If I remember correct, he claimed to be signed in both schools, but if it's true what I've seen, then he was never signed in one of these schools.
Really? Wow, that's very, very interesting. I had no idea. I think that's definitely a hole we're going to have to dig down later on, for sure. Very interesting. Well, what did you want to tell us about Ron DeSantis?
Yeah, as I said, there are some news articles which said that Ron DeSantis removed Scott Israel from his position. Yeah. But Ron DeSantis is also on the resignation list. So on September the 10th of last year, he resigned as a congressman from the U.S. Congress in Florida. And he also called for the resignation of all board members of the South Florida Water Management District. And 7 of these 9 board members already resigned, and they are also on the list.
Wow, very interesting. All right. How about Digicel, Dennis O'Brien?
Yeah, Digicel is a very interesting thing. If you start digging, you will find tons of different things, and you will find tons of different connections. So to start, what is Digicel? Digicel is a mobile company. It was founded by Dennis O'Brien. He's an Irish billionaire, and it's also worth to do a deep research about Dennis O'Brien because he also has a lot of interesting connections. There are different Digicel foundations in different countries. So, as an example, you have some foundations in Haiti, in Jamaica, Papua New Guinea, Trinidad and Tobago, and I think I missed already one or two other countries. Dennis O'Brien has also some connections to Michael O'Leary. I think he's also a billionaire, and he's actually the chairman of the airline company Ryanair, one of the biggest airlines here in Europe. Both have connections to the Ryanair founder, and if you start digging, you will find through the digital company, through digital foundations, and Dennis O'Brien, Michael O'Leary, you find a lot of interesting connections to some incidents in Haiti. I think some stories about children are already known. Mm-hmm. And you also find connections to the Clinton Foundation. If I remember correct, Digicel and the Clinton Foundation were involved into building a hotel in Haiti, but I can't remember the name anymore. Was it Marriott? It was definitely a big name. And on the resignation list, we have 3 cases from Digicel people listed. On December the 8th in 2017, the Digicel Group CEO, Colm Delphs, resigned. On June the 27th of 2018, the Digicel Foundation of Papua New Guinea CEO, Beatrice Mahuru, resigned. And remember, on December the 8th in 2017, the Digicel Group CEO resigned. And on December the 28th in 2018, the Digicel Group CEO, Alexander Matushka, died. So he was in this position for 1 year, and he died, I think, as he made holidays here in Germany. He died with an age of 47. This was very surprisingly, not only for the family, but also for me. I'm not wondering at all that we can see more death cases which are connected to the Clinton or Clinton Foundation. So I can remember there was a list with death cases which got proven connections to the Clinton Foundation or to Clintons. But I haven't seen this list for months anymore. So if you find this list, please send me a message, and I definitely want to make this information also searchable.
Yes, I've got several Clinton body count lists pulled up in front of us, so I'll go ahead and send these over after the show. How about Wells Fargo? Lots of resignations from multiple banks. Wells Fargo, there's central banks. We got that Deutsche Bank stuff that just happened recently.
Oh, yeah. So the financial sector is a very important one. So this leads us already back to Saudi Arabia. So maybe you can remember that hundreds or maybe even thousands of rich people got arrested. I can't remember anymore which name it was. Was it Prince Al-Walid?
Yes.
He was the richest Saudi Arabian person. He also got involved, or he is involved, into some hotels in the USA. I think one was the Mandalay Bay Hotel. I'm not sure if he was also involved into another hotel. So if you go back to Mandalay Bay, there was also a shooting, which was a little bit strange at all. But that's also another very big topic. And Q said we should follow the money. And what is easier to follow the money than doing it through banks? So if we start the whole thing with central banks, we have, I need to look up how many resignations we already have, but we have different high-ranking people from different central banks worldwide. And another big bank is Wells Fargo. So actually we have 13 resignations and also one death case on the list. I think the death case is also very, very notable. So the person who died was Jennifer Riordan. She was killed after being sucked out of a Southwest 737 jet window when the engine exploded at 32,000 feet. Her husband is also on the resignation list. Michael Roy Jordan is his name, and he resigned on November the 27th in 2017 as the COO of Albuquerque. And yeah, if you look deeper into Wells Fargo, you can find a lot of interesting things. So I thought Wells Fargo is just another bank, but no, this is definitely not the case. Mm-mm. So Wells Fargo has a lot of airplanes running or flying every day through the whole world. And Wells Fargo launched an aircraft leasing company. And I heard that Wells Fargo is one of the world's biggest aircraft providers, or even this company is the biggest one. And the company's name is Avalon Capital Partners Limited. Also, Wells Fargo is a client of the Serco Group, and some months ago, Serco Group wrote on their own website, in the US, we operate 54 air traffic control towers for the Federal Aviation Administration.
Very interesting. Yeah, I specifically remember that Jennifer, what was her last name?
Riordan.
Riordan, yes, Jennifer Riordan. That case was incredible. That just doesn't happen. You know, I mean, those planes are built to be very, very sturdy. And the idea that the window would just explode and she would get sucked out, it really lent itself to the idea that it was a targeted hit.
This could be possible, but I can also see some more things related to other incidents. So pictures and also video from inside of the plane was shown, and there was no blood. And we had also some other things like so-called terrorist attacks or other incidents where important things were missing. So no blood, no bullet holes, nothing.
You know, it's crazy that you say that, because while we were talking about Jennifer Riordan, I had an article pulled up that stated that there was quite a bit of blood showing her from her being sucked out. And I'm actually looking at a picture right now of her seat in the plane and the broken out window. And you're right, there's no blood. You would think that because of this, her body being ripped through that small hole, there definitely would be a lot of blood. And the narrative stated that there was, but there's not. There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing.
Also, if you look to the engine of the plane, it looks very suspicious to me. Incidents like these already happened many times in history, but these engines never looked like this. And this is also very suspicious in my.
Yeah. Do you remember what the official cause was? Was it like a bird getting sucked into the engine, or was it just some type of malfunction with the turbine?
Oh, I don't have an idea.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it looks like it just blew apart, but then there's also no scorch marks or anything like that. It's kind of crazy. Here's another picture of the inside of the airplane, and there's stuff all over the window, but there's no blood. Absolutely no blood. All right, so pretty weird stuff. How about now? You mentioned Benjamin Fulford earlier when we were getting ready for the show, and his Swift prediction. What can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I'm following Benjamin Fulford for a while, so I'm reading his posts he's doing every Monday on his blog. And on December the 10th, 2018, he made something like a prediction. So maybe you can show this article. Yeah. And the interesting thing is that he's talking about Swift. And only 2 days after he made this blog post, interestingly, the CEO of Swift, Gottfried Leibbrandt is his name, he resigned. And this was absolutely stunning to me.
That is pretty interesting. Benjamin Fulford is a bit of a controversial figure. I mean, he's been releasing information for years, and I know that he used to do it in concert with David Wilcock. And what do you know much about Benjamin Fulford's background?
A little bit. So I can remember that he made an interview with what was his name? Rockefeller.
Yes.
And it looks like he has some good. Oh, I'm not sure if these are really good connections, but he's connected to different secret services or different secret societies worldwide. So he says that he has connections to CIA, FBI, and to the Pentagon, to Red, White, and other dragon societies, and also some more connections into different Asian countries.
Yeah. Do you know who Eliahi Priest is?
No.
Okay. He's an Australian guy who I'm going to have him on the show, so you'll learn about him in the future. But there was a person named his name is Mahal Rockefeller, and he has some connections to these agencies. And he got audio of him talking about this White Dragon Society. Do you know anything about that White Dragon Society? I mean, I had only just heard of it recently.
I haven't looked into it yet. Yeah,
I tried to do some digging into it, but you know, it connects to a lot of varied topics. I can't find anything specific. Like, I mean, there's lots of information, but it's kind of spread out, and there's nothing real official. It just seems to be a lot of speculation. All right, well, let's talk about the politicians, presidents, prime ministers, governments. Lots of resignations across the board in the American government and beyond.
Yeah, as you said, there are a lot of. So I don't have that much specific cases I can talk about. So actually, 8. On the list we have 8 different governments which resigned or got dissolved. Then we have 175 ministers and 4 deputy ministers. We have also, interestingly, 29 different prime ministers and 5 deputy prime ministers. Also 10 presidents and 2 vice presidents and 1 chancellor, Angela Merkel. And if I look to these numbers, that's what I call impressive.
Very, very impressive. And again, on the website, we've got it broken down by country and then by month and year here. So you can quite literally see that this is a major shift. I don't know. You had mentioned that we've seen this number or a similar number of resignations previously, across the board after the financial collapse of 2008. But do you know if this number of resignations at the government level is unique, or is this have we seen this before?
Unfortunately, I don't have data to compare this, but actually I'm maintaining the resignation list for 15 months, and it includes data of 18 months. But to have 29 prime ministers leaving the position in this time range, I think this is not normal. Especially if you have 10 presidents, which would mean every 45 days a president resigns, or every, let me count, every 2 weeks, I guess it should be a prime minister resigns. And I can't imagine that this is normal.
It sure does not look normal. I personally have been following this kind of stuff for many years. And although, resignations of individuals in government is not new, the amount of people that we have, and, and you can look, 55.6% of all resignations by country in terms of politicians. That's in the USA. And it's clearly the United States that is leading this charge. in cleaning up the globe. We've got 4,109 resignations in the United States of America. This is unprecedented, you guys. So, again, I point to this as a clear indication that there is so much happening, so much going on. It's almost too much to even track, and you have done such an incredible job in doing so.
Oh, thank you. But as I say, every time, do your own research with the Resignation website and, of course, with qresearch.ch. You have great tools to dig very deep. And, I would say invest the time this way, and you can find out things which are absolutely interesting. So, as I said a while ago, even a lot of anons on 8chan are using this search because it makes their research much more easier. And it's easy to do one search and to search through 28 different resources at once instead of doing it one by one. So you can save a lot of time doing it this way.
That's what I was just going to say. I think that like the way that the information is spread out, across all of these different sources, time management is a big problem for a lot of people. I've got a full-time job, you've got a full-time job, but we pour what little time we have into putting stuff like this together. Now, for just a normal person to be able to come to the table and use a tool like this, to really narrow it down and to help them in their digs, this is incredible, RA. You've done such a great job, and it's an invaluable tool. I really hope that you've got protections set up, or maybe some redundancies in case things go down, and so that people will still be able to find this stuff.
Sure. If something goes wrong, it will not take that long until it's back up.
Good. All right, well, let's talk about one more sector for resignations, the social media world. We just had all of those drops very recently about LifeLog and DARPA, all of these three-letter agencies, and now you've had some pretty notable resignations taking place in Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, Twitter, all of them.
Yeah, I don't know where I could start.
Let's talk about Let's talk about Facebook, because a lot of people use Facebook, and I try to dissuade people from even going on there.
Yeah, I think best would be to start. When was Facebook published, and what was happening before this? So, as you already mentioned, LifeLog. LifeLog was shut down the day Facebook was published. And what Anons figured out was that both projects were founded by DARPA, and the main goal for both projects was simply to collect a lot of data. The connection to other social media networks is that it looks like they have a similar history. Maybe you remember a few years ago, as Google got, what does it mean? Google was known started to being known. They offered a lot of services for free, and they gave you an email account with, 1 gigabyte of space, absolutely for free. They gave you a lot of other services completely for free. Later they started doing some advertising and some other stuff for this. But it wasn't for free at all. So at the end, you paid with your data. I think it was revealed last week or maybe 2 weeks ago. I think it was also in a Q post where we figured out that if you install maybe the Facebook app on your smartphone and you remove it, it still tracks. And this you can only do if you have a lot of know-how about technology. So I would say for a normal hacker, this is not able to do. Additionally, Facebook bought a lot of companies like Instagram, WhatsApp, and even for the last few years, there was a public discussion about privacy and so on. In every case, Mark Zuckerberg comes forward and says, "Yeah, we are doing things to protect your privacy, blah blah blah." And I think it was revealed this week, or maybe even 1 or 2 days ago, that Facebook figured out that around 600 million passwords from different accounts were stored without being encrypted.
Plain text.
Yes, exactly. They could read your password without any problems. And in my opinion, this can't happen by accident. So if you really want to do a good job, then you do some stuff and you encrypt passwords. I think it can't be normal this way. And if you do some research about Mark Zuckerberg, you will figure out that he sold a lot of his Facebook shares, interestingly nearly every day. He sold a big amount. I think Q mentioned also his sister-in-law, which is running the Cannibal Club. And there are much, much more connections, but unfortunately I missed so many things. So maybe you have some more.
Yeah, I had looked into the Cannibal Club some time ago, but I couldn't verify its legitimacy. I wasn't able to locate it physically, and the information on the website, it had profile pictures for different people, but they were just stock images. So I don't know if it's real. It's certainly terrifying. For people who don't know, the Cannibal Club is supposedly a restaurant in Los Angeles. They have a website, cannibalclub.org, and it is supposedly a private club where you can go and you can dine on human meat. Quite disgusting. But here in the staff, Raven Chan, service manager, Hero Connors, the art director, Sophie Lafitte, the chef, and Elspeth Blake, the proprietor. So it's an older website. It's been up for quite some time, but it definitely made the rounds, and pretty scary. I mean, even if it was put up as a joke, I believe that it's pointing at some stark facts. This is the kind of thing that these people are interested in. This is what they do. And we know it because it's all coming out as the result of the posts and this great awakening that we're taking part in. Well, Resignation Anon, we've been on for about an hour, so I just want to thank you so much for joining us. I think what I'm going to do is release this as a standalone show all on its own. I'm not going to put it with anything else. The information's too important. I want to make sure people see it. Are there any final things that you want to say? Do you want to give people a quick rundown again of how they can find you and where they can go to find your information?
I have another topic I want to cover because it's happening, or it was happening in the last 48 hours, and things didn't get the way I expected it. So the main topic is the website qmap.pub. I think all of you know this website.
Yes.
And on Thursday evening, this website showed that 400,000 users were on the page in the last 24 hours. And only in a few hours, this counter increased to nearly 600,000. And people went absolutely crazy. I think Jordan Safer and also Praying Medic put out some tweets. And there is a story behind this. So, but I want to talk about this because I'm involved in the story, or I'm the main reason.
Yep.
And it brought up a lot of confusion and, interestingly, also a lot of more claims. So the simple reason why we have seen this increase of users is simply I figured out that the counter is not working correct. I wrote a small script, and I sent a lot of requests to qmap.pub, and this was the reason why we have seen this amount of numbers. I'm in contact with the maintainer of the site. We figured out what the problem was. So it was just an error in the code, and he fixed this, and he published his fix. I think it was yesterday evening. Since the amount of users is much smaller, because now it changed, or it counts on a completely different way. So until yesterday, it counted the unique session. So if you access this page, you get a session, and it was counting for 24 hours. Now it was, yesterday it was changed to simply unique IPs, or IP addresses, and it shows only users which were active in the last 30 minutes. So that's the reason why the amount is or was that slow compared to the last weeks. But I would say now it's counting correct.
That's a really good point. I was actually wondering about that myself, and we did have a post from our favorite Anon late last night. It was actually 5:13 this morning, saying that post-tracking sites now censoring, adjusting visitor counts, panic. And then, of course, the owner of qmap.pub posted on 8chan, and he said, "QMAP owner here, not sure if Q's posts about post-tracking site refers to QMAP censoring, adjusting user counts. But let me explain what happened past 2 days if it does. Resignation Anon, who we're talking with right now, was claiming on Twitter that he found a way to inflate QMAP's user count. He created a script that could create endless sessions, and he used it the other day when QMAP counts jumped 200,000 plus rather quickly. I contacted him, he did some testing, and it looks like he found a problem. So I spent hours yesterday trying to figure out a new way to represent online counts. The old way was counting user sessions over the past 24 hours. The new way is unique user IPs in the past 30 minutes instead of 24 hours. This has caused a lot of confusion, which I'm sorry about. I've decided to just remove the counters for now. Last thing I want to do is interfere with the plan." But the fact is that if every time you visit the site it counts as an individual user, that isn't an accurate representation. So the way that you're setting it up now to count the individual IPs for a particular session, that's a far better way to actually give us a look.
It was not for normal users. It was counting correct, but not for what you would call a bot. A bot is just, from a technical perspective, it's known as a crawler or a spider, or in some cases it's even called a web service. If you look into the definition what a web service is, if you post a URL on Twitter, maybe to a news article, then a web service from Twitter makes a request to this website to try to get some information, to give you in a tweet a preview of the news article. So on the technical base, that's absolutely normal. So the problem is that these bots are not able to store a session in itself like a normal user does. And this was the main reason why the number was high. It counted a lot of bot requests, additionally to normal user requests. Mm-hmm. So I also heard a lot of claims about qmap.pub is compromised and a lot of other weird things. But I would say it's definitely not the case. I can't see a reason why you shouldn't go to qmap.pub anymore. So as I said, I'm in contact with the owner of the site. We solved this issue on the technical perspective. Now you have correct numbers, or I think today he removed it. But I think he does a good job with maintaining this website. It was very helpful for all of us. And he implemented even the resignation list on his website. So I think he has done a good job, and yeah, I just wanted to bring this whole topic to your attention, just to make sure that there are no other weird claims about this. So I would say everything is fine with QMap.pub.
I mean, I personally agree. I think that people are kind of just at like a fever pitch. You've got a lot of division going on out there. I think you've got some people that are latching on to that division, and maybe they have genuine concerns. But then I also think there's a lot of people out there that are probably well placed to sow that division. So there were previously a lot more post aggregator sites out there, and I know that there was a couple out there that probably were actually compromised. The way that they would redirect you, maybe they were taken over at some point. But I mean, I trust QMap. I use it just because it's so well designed, and I suggest that people continue to do that too. So. All right. Well, thank you very much for bringing that to my attention. I actually had noticed that earlier today, and I completely forgot to ask you about it. So I guess with that, is there anything else that you want people to know?
No, I think this was actually all what I can tell you.
All right. Excellent. Well, Resignation Anon, I just want to thank you so much for joining us again. Remember, everyone, go check out the actual Google Doc spreadsheet that will be in the show notes below. The Resignation website, resignation.info. We've also got the show, actually, where you can go to watch that when it's up, resignation.info/show. You can report resignations yourself if you see them, resignation.info/report. Of course, there is the HN Q Research Board search tool, which is very, very useful. Lots of great information compiled together. It should make it much easier to do digs. And, of course, Resignation Anon on Twitter and Gab. I want to thank you so much for joining me, my friend. This was a great interview. I can't wait to put it out there and for people to see it.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.
All right, thank you again. And I just want to thank everyone else for joining me. As always, this has been Red Pill 78, the corruption detector, and this was your Red Pill News. Good luck, everyone, and God bless.